Motor City, welcoming IndyCar on a new and different circuit as we welcome you to NBC Sports coverage here on Peacock of qualifying for the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. It's round 7 of the NTT IndyCar Series for 2023. Hi folks, Lee Diffie along with Townsend Bell and James Hinchcliffe with you. Dave Burns, Kevin Lee, Marty Snyder with us on pit road. Lots of stories, lots of action, and there has already been lots of drama. And yes, you can expect those themes to continue throughout this vital qualifying session. And vital because track position is going to mean
absolutely at the back, over a second off the pace. So tough for a lot of these drivers to get a lap this morning.
That's the thing, Diff. It's not like Herta missed a big part of the session.
No.
He might not have gotten a clean lap, but still, this is a guy that's dominated at places like Long Beach and Nashville. He's 20 dead last trying to figure it out. That's how competitive it is. That's how challenging this Detroit circuit is.
James and I saw him walking to the booth here before this session, and he said, I didn't get a single lap, not one. Not one. He said, I don't think I've ever been last in a session in my racing life.
He said, you know, several times he was on a lap coming into turn 5, 4 or 5 tenths up on his best, and there's just a traffic jam coming out of there. And I think that's the story for a lot of drivers. So I'm not looking a lot at the practice 2 times, Townsend, in terms of who's got the raw pace, because I just don't think it was a fair fight this morning.
No, not at all. I mean, we were able to follow on board with Will Power, who had maybe 1.5, maybe 2 clean laps. But to your point, there's probably, if you're playing the baby violin, there's 20 guys lined up to listen to that sweet tune.
There's already a theme, a concept being bandied around for next time, and that is maybe separate sessions. You know, just split the time, split the groups, and just give people some clean running. Hinch, what do you think about that idea?
I mean, 2 half-hour sessions with half the group each, I think would be a lot more productive in a lot of ways than what the team saw this morning.
But what if you get 3 reds in session 1 and no reds in session 2, and you're just sitting there going, well, how's this fair?
You know, it's funny, guys, even just watching, that's a great shot there as they come up over the hill. The distance that you can see, that gap from the floor to the ground, you never see that much daylight underneath an IndyCar on any kind of circuit. The ride heights they're having to run here so high to accommodate for these bumps.
Generally in the paddock, if it's known as the Baja setting.
Yes, here is Devlin DeFrancesco. We showed you his moment earlier today, and the Andretti Autosport crew, the guys and girls, have been working so hard since the end of practice 2 to get that car fixed, because even though it was only at 40 or 50 miles an hour, there was quite extensive damage on that car.
There was. Now, if you just enjoyed a tremendous Indy Next race on Peacock, I watched that entire thing. I was super encouraged at how racy this circuit looked for the Indy Next drivers, and 19 drivers in that field. It is incredibly competitive, perhaps the most competitive Indy Next or Indy Lights season that we've seen in a long time. So tremendous, aggressive young talent coming up through the ranks, and I'm excited for this race tomorrow. I wasn't sure what to think after all the reds and yellows, but I think once we get into race pace, sure, there's going to be some drama, but you can also make passes here.
And I also think, talking to some of the drivers, the red tires, they might have that same sort of Detroit degradation that we're used to seeing. We spoke to Marcus Armstrong saying that after only about 9 or 10 laps on his reds, they were really starting to fall off, and it's going to be a struggle to make them last year.
Just wait till they throw the greens on.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. The alternates, I should say.
This is Jack Harvey in the Custom Entertainment Honda for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. You saw him. Oh, there is oh,
that's a damper. That's a third spring coming apart, or a primary shock coming apart. That's the piston. I think that's the third spring, maybe.
Either way, it's come off one of these cars, and that is something we're going to have to...
That is a shock piston, I think. It's either that or the Fitzer valve.
There you go.
Well, there's a bump rubber going for a little ride in turn 2. So parts just falling off one of these cars.
I wonder if...
Here's where it gets crazy, is that driver pits and says, what'd you change? It feels fantastic.
Great.
All right, let's get back to it. 7 minutes 50 left on the clock. Group 1. Helio Castro Neves, Will Power, Alex Palou, you see on screen in the Ridgeline Lubricants Honda. Jack Harvey's jumped up to 4th.
Those arrows beside their names, the one beside the number you see is them being on track or off. At the end beside their time, that's what tires they're on, the black for the primary, the green for the alternate. So Helio Castroneves opting to start on the alternate, something that a couple teams were flirting with the idea of, guys, because there's been so many red flags in practice. You didn't want to get caught out with only having a banker lap as other drivers went out on the alternate. So interesting to see Castroneves do it. We see Benjamin Peterson and Devlin DiFrancesco and Connor Daly all taking that strategy.
Working well for DiFrancesco at the top with a 103.8.
Wouldn't that be great reward for his team if he was able to advance after everything they've been through the last couple of hours?
I like the strategy if you're Castroneves, DiFrancesco, where you haven't had a spectacular start to this season, frankly, on any street and road courses. Go out there and gamble on lucking out on a yellow or a full course red at the right time. You got a second set you could throw on. If you need it, that almost locks you in only into the top 12. But I think for a lot of these guys, they gladly take that start position tomorrow as PALOU goes to the top.
By the way, these guys are enjoying some freedom, some free track space. They're like, this is awesome. This is the most fun I've had in Detroit this weekend. Marcus Armstrong to the top over his teammate PALOU, then Rosenquist, Castroneves, Rossi, DiFrancesco to P3 now here in the EVTech Honda, and he dives for pit lane.
And that's a big gap for Marcus Armstrong, 102.8 to a 103.2 to Alex PALOU there in second place. So we've seen a lot of good pace out of the young Kiwi so far this weekend, just coming to a track that everyone's learning for the first time, Lee, so he doesn't have the disadvantage of years of track knowledge out of St. Peter or Long Beach.
See what Will Power can do. P2 on the blacks.
Nice.
At this time.
You know the cool thing about a brand new circuit? Armstrong's got the track record.
So far.
For now.
5.5 minutes to go. Here's Jack Harvey again in the background in that bright green car. There's Alex PALOU, Benjamin Peterson. So it's two rookies at the top at the moment until PALOU steals that time away.
Didn't take him long.
Well, his teammate Marcus Armstrong crosses the line right here. Was he able to respond? He was not.
And PALOU does it on the black, Armstrong on the black.
So three of the top six at the moment on the primary tires. Let's go on board the Auto Nation viewpoint for Romain Grosjean.
Looks pretty good. This might be P2. P3 for Grosjean.
Felix Rosenquist quick to get on to the alternate. Same with Alexander Rossi. Both of those drivers now on track. It's almost like they went a little bit out of sequence, did a shorter run on the bankers to get those alternates on and get this clear racetrack. Right now, 8 cars on track.
I'm curious to watch how quickly does the green come in as we're on board with Rossi here. Is this a full push lap? No. But it'll start here in 4 more corners. Marty, what do you got?
Well, I chatted with Will Power before the session started, and he said there's going to be more of a sense of urgency than we've seen all year long in qualifying. Alexander Rossi, a great example of that. You mentioned his teammate, Felix Rosenquist. They came to pit road, never shut the car off, put the alternates on right away, and went right out hinge. So normally you're kind of, waiting for the track to come in a little bit better? Not today. You don't want to risk a red flag or someone spinning on the racetrack and having a local yellow either.
Well, yeah, that's just it, Marty. Even if there's not a red flag, if they're like, for example, right here in turn 1, there's a car in the runoff and you're Alexander Rossi coming through that yellow flag, your lap automatically gets deleted because you cannot advance, you cannot improve your time, rather, through a yellow sector. So there's a huge risk, and this is a good move. I like what the McLaren team's doing here, but Rossi already backing off on this lap, which is surprising.
Why? He had a good lap going.
3.5 minutes to go, too. Time is of the essence here.
Maybe it's everybody on an out lap, but man, I mean, he had an out lap to warm his fronts, and I think he just knew he was going to get stacked up maybe behind Grosjean. But I don't know if you can afford to run your tires hard for half a lap and then re-rack and do it again.
Well, he doesn't have a choice now, but he saw, his team would have got on the radio, said, look, 3 cars on an L lap right in front of you. He was able to get around Pagenaud, who moved over on the straightaway there, but now he's going to come through, come out of 7.
But that might have been his best chance, even with traffic, even with somebody pulling out of the way on the tight sections. To your point, the timing of sending him out early, you run this risk.
Here we go. So less than 3 minutes left, and this is going to be the mad scramble to try and make it into that top 6, and Helio Castroneves has spun.
Exiting turn 2.
We saw this yesterday in qualifying for the Michelin Pilot Challenge race that's coming up next on Peacock. where a driver spun there and ended up reversing all the way down this straight. Now, Elio's able to...
It's going to be a red.
This is bad for Alexander Rossi. If it doesn't go red, this is bad for Rossi because everyone going through here is on a yellow. None of these laps count. You see how all the red on the pylon, every driver is backed right off. So, yeah, I mean, Rossi maybe should have finished that lap.
Of course, yeah. I mean, on this circuit, with the amount of drama you've had, is he still running, Castroneves?
He was a moment ago, yeah. Flicks it around.
Okay.
So that's good. Power is the first one by him. Let's have a look at what happened to the Brazilian legend.
Just lost it on power down at the exit.
It's a little wide. Like kind of wide of the corner, just got the right rear in the gray.
We're not keeping an official count of Elio spinning 180 at corner exits this year, but it's at least 4 times.
I can remember Long Beach, Barber.
Long Beach and Barber. Is there another one?
Just remember those two, because Long Beach was in the race. Barber was in... I don't think Barber was in the race. Yes.
Unusually high number of power down, low speed spins for Castroneves.
Guys, we're coming to a minute 30 to go, and all the times at the top have been set. Well, first and second certainly have been set on the black still. Those drivers haven't got an honest run, an honest lap on their alternates. On board now with Rossi, who's had to abandon 2 attempts so far on these tires that we're not sure if they last 3 laps.
I think James Armstrong was on the greens.
Nope, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he did. Sorry, you're right, because I take that back. He got bumped on me. Nope, actually, I take that back. I don't think he was. No, he was. You're right.
Less than a minute to go. Everybody scrambling. Some in the green, like Alexander Rossi. Romain Grosjean goes to P3. Qualifying well here is paramount, and Alexander Rossi goes to P2.
That's a big relief for Rossi. 45 seconds left. Everybody will get one more.
But you just can't rest because you don't know what the benchmark time is going to be to transfer his Will Power out of 4 there, struggling to get the power down on that number 12 Verizon car.
Rosenquist to the 4th position. Time is running out, 25 seconds. You've got to be in a prioritized starting spot here. The Verizon Chevy driver, Will Power to P3.
He'll get one more, but he'll have traffic as more drivers cross the timing line.
I believe Benjamin Peterson, maybe Devlin DeFrancesco will be the last driver to get the start of another lap.
Look at all that green down below, though. There's 5 seconds until the clock, but it is Christmas below P6 with Pagano, Peterson, Castroneves, Daly, all looking quick enough to bump their way in.
Grosjean's going to be the first driver to get the checkered flag, and he's sitting on the bubble right now in P6. It's not looking good. Oh, there he goes, up on that. I thought that was a red lap. It didn't. That was a big run there, up to P2.
Pagano.
Simon goes to 7th. No, he doesn't. He goes to 4th.
Rosenquist is on a flyer.
It's been a tough year qualifying-wise for the Meyer Shank man. He'll be pleased with that if he can stay there and transfer to the fast 12. Here's Power.
Rossi's on the bubble. His teammate Felix Rosenquist crosses the line and pushes him out. The number 7 is out. Power across the line, safely in, it looks like. Does he improve? He does, up to P4.
Solidifies his position. So it's Marcus Armstrong of Chip Ganassi Racing, Romain Grosjean, Alex Palou, Will Power, and Connor Daly runs long. Able to spin it around and head back in the right direction. He narrowly missed out, just 2 positions. He's in 8th behind Alexander Rossi and Simon Pagano and Felix Rosenquist, the last to make the cut through to the fast 12.
Rossi will be devastated with that. So close, having 2 laps abandoned because of traffic.
All right, so you're in Group 2. What does your team tell you? What do you do? How do you approach this? You don't waste any time, right?
You definitely don't waste time, but we didn't see the yellows. We didn't see the reds, with the exception of, you know, the local yellow for Castroneves.
I think you got to look at what happened to Rossi, where he's on his first flyer, greens are hot, primed, and his team sees everybody on outlaps and backs them off. So I think it's tough to say.
You got to go the traditional route, because the track evolution at this stage of a street circuit is still so strong that even if you went out on the greens on that first run and tried to lay down a fat one, the way it improves by the end of the session, you might be hurt. Let's take a quick replay here at Dev DeFrancesco. Just getting into the wall there, coming out of turn 1. Devlin ended up 9th in that session.
There's going to be more of the same throughout qualifying, and tomorrow's 100-lap race, just under 170 miles in total distance and duration. This is going to be wild, absolutely wild tomorrow, here with IndyCar returning to the downtown streets of the Motor City. All right, there's definitely... How will they execute? There is the Renaissance Center, Chevrolet's headquarters, General Motors headquarters, pardon me. And what a view this is. What a sight. President of General Motors, Mark Royce, here, and with so many GM staff. So proud to have this racing venue here with thanks to Roger Penske, the Penske Group, Penske Entertainment, everybody involved. Look at that for a view, high above the Ren Center. So just fantastic views, and this setting has given a lot of people a lot to talk about. Let's hear from one guy who did not make the cut to the Fast 12.
But really close. Connor Daly was right there trying.
7 cars on the racetrack. It was difficult for anyone to get a clean lap, as we've talked about.
Yeah, everybody's stacking up in the queue before the timing line in practice. I really don't think it'll be an issue in the race. I expect drama. I expect some yellows early on, but if it's anything like the Indy Next race in the second half, it should be some great racing.
Just to finish a point on Alexander Rossi, he missed making the Fast 12 by 0.03 of a second. All right, everybody's keen to get out. Look at this. Look at the mad scramble, pushing off that very narrow exit of pit lane, and onto the track first is Christian Lundgaard. And here we go.
Christian Lundgaard 15th in practice too. His teammates Graham Rahal 17th and Jack Harvey 24th. So maybe a shot here for Lundgaard. He's been the quickest of the bunch the last few races, it seems like, and maybe he can get that 45 into the top 6 at the end of this. He
doesn't mind the odd gambling experience, and he let Hinch and I in on a little secret where he may be in the positive side of the ledger after an experience the other night. So it's been a good start to the weekend for the Hy-V Honda driver. Watch this. Kyle Kirkwood.
Yeah, Graham Rahal having to lift off a little bit there to allow.
What's the urgency from Kyle? Where's he going?
No idea. Maybe wanting to beat Pato.
Yeah, I suppose.
Just to try and prevent being stuck, stuck in traffic.
What a dangerous way to potentially risk your front wing at the start of a qualifying session that is really critical to a great result.
And so we talk about this strategy here of starting on the alternates. Christian Lundgaard has taken that approach. He had the benefit of P1 in the pit box based on his pole from the Indy GP. Got the first choice of pit boxes here, so he's got nice, clean racetrack.
Go for it.
Greens seem to come in pretty quickly too, so I like the gamble.
Track temperature is at 117 degrees is the average all around the track. So the Rahal Letterman Lanigan driver going for it. Why not?
And he is slowing up as well.
Why?
Just because the number 14 of Santino Ferrucci's just up ahead. But
I get it, but you're not guaranteed a clean lap in this deal.
I'm with you. I think he should have fired. There's already a yellow right now, so this lap's in trouble.
Right, this lap's done.
As Ferrucci goes off in 8. So that
there goes
really backfired. 2 laps essentially gone.
Remember, I asked you the question at the end of the Group 1. I said, what did they learn from Alexander Rossi? Here's Santino Ferrucci.
Left front lock up, and Ferrucci wisely protecting the tire, not trying to force the corner. He'll re-rack and try again. But for Lundgaard, how much fuel they got in that car, too? That's 2 laps that are gone.
Yeah, you hope you fueled for 3. I'm sure they did because of that. And also, it's not a huge length of a lap, so I'm sure, Marty, they had enough fuel in it. What do you know down in pit lane?
Well, and that hinge was exactly their strategy. That #1 pit stall, they thought this is our best shot to get a clean lap. But then they brought up the point right before he went out and told Christian, hey, we may catch other traffic once they start leaving pit road. And that's exactly what played out. They told him to stay in the mixture of fuel that he's in. So right now, sitting in third, will this strategy pay off? That's the big question.
All right, here he goes. Crosses the timing line. This is turn 1 of the lap.
And he definitely has the room in front of him now, but you just need to hope that nobody goes off in front of you in turn 1 and turn 3. By turn 8, he'll be clear. So
this is officially turn 1.
All right, Kyle Kirkwood goes to the top over Scott Dixon. The Rahal Letterman Lanigan teammate to Lundgaard. Graham Rahal is ahead of him in P4. Pato Award slots into second. Ericsson to third. And all those guys, the top 5 are on the primary tires. Lundgaard the first on the alternates.
Seen Lundgaard's on a pretty good lap here. Trying to flip a double apex down in turn 3.
It's pretty downhill here on the brakes into turn 5. Really tight, and you really want to set up here for this 6-7 chicane. This is the last corner of the timed lap. Here we go through turn 7. Blast down this short straightaway. Where does he line
Should go
up?
to the top.
Should. Boom! Lundgaard 1:03.2 for
Nice.
the Danish driver. By the way, Santino Ferrucci drive-through penalty, understandably causing a local yellow that affected Christian Lundgaard. Here's Joseph Newgarden in the Hitachi Chevy. Kirkwood to the top now.
And the reason it's a drive-through penalty, not a lap deletion for Santino Ferrucci, is he had not yet set a lap.
Right.
So that's the penalty for impeding another driver through a yellow. And let's see what
I would
Newgarden
take
has.
that penalty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? All day long, I prefer the drive-through over losing the quick lap. Here's McLaughlin.
On a great lap right now, 8/10 up on 6th place.
Keep in mind,
lost a bunch of time.
1:02.5 was the time it took to transfer in Group 1.
So the Gallagher Chevy completes its lap, and Scotty Mack, Scott McLaughlin to P3, and he's going to go on with it on the primary tires. 5:50 left to play. Kirkwood, Dixon, McLaughlin, O'Ward, Lundgaard, VK. So just one of those drivers in that top 6 on the alternates. That's Lundgaard in the Hy-Vee Honda.
A lot of these drivers taking an extra banker lap necessarily as Lundgaard goes back up to the top. Dixon
Good
now
job,
P2.
4:62.8 is quick time. We'll finish up pit here.
Because the lap time is so short, you can afford that maybe extra 1 lap on the bankers as Kirkwood now jumps to the top. Just to get into that rhythm. It's still a new racetrack. It's still evolving. Drivers are still learning. So every lap, even if it's an extra 1 in qualifying here, can be very advantageous as we see Callum Ilott now down into the hairpin in 3.
And Connor Daly said what we were thinking, that the driver's enjoying some clearer track space and having time by themselves. Colton Herter told us that earlier, that the track's actually fun to drive if you can get a clear lap.
Looks like a blast to drive in anger as Callum Ilott crosses the line. Looks like he might just bump out Rinus VK. He does, 1:03.2. He'll pit for the softer tires. So if you went off of Group 1, only Kyle Kirkwood would transfer with that time that he's logged. The 1:02.5, Marty, was the was the cutoff for the top 6 in Group 1.
Hey, T-Bell, how about this move for Christian Lundgaard and Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing? A second set of sticker alternate tires. Just fired them right back on, sent them right back on the racetrack. Do you agree with that move, Townsend?
I do, but I think I would have waited at this point because now Lundgaard's going to be on the track with everybody leaving the pits on their new tires, and hopefully he's in a good spot, but I think I would have allowed him to re-rack, and you never know if a red comes out or a yellow.
Check this out. Colton Herter, listen. Boom, boom.
Oh yeah, his steering's out of alignment.
Yeah.
Bent rear toe link.
Double whack.
They're working on it right now, guys, in the 26 pit.
Here's the PNC Bank Honda of Scott Dixon. 4th at the
Come on
moment.
there, Scott. This lap at 3 more time laps.
This lap and 3 more. That's a lot on the alternates. You don't normally hear that amount of laps being run on that softer tire, but again, you just don't know if you're going to catch traffic, if you're going to catch a yellow. Look at the car bouncing around.
That's violent.
On the brakes, Townsend.
Yep, and right behind Scott Dixon is Lundgaard, who's on a flyer, but not a quick one right now.
minutes remain in Group 2, Q1. And Kyle Kirkwood, who won pole and won on the streets of Long Beach. Is this going to be another wonderful weekend for the Floridian on an IndyCar street circuit? Long way before we have that question answered. This is Lundgaard, the Hy-Vee Honda.
Turn 9 there, very off camber on entry. So much understeer. You can see him just have to crank the wheel in as we head into turn 1 here. Oh, big rear lock.
Oh, that's going to cost him a lot of time.
But good job to hang on to it.
Hey, give him
he's
some...
way wide, way wide. Yeah, this lap, honestly, take a breath. Calm down, get off the throttle, make sure there's no one behind you.
One more, right? Yes, sir, you got one more.
Making his bias adjustment, you can see the right hand go down, start cranking clockwise, more brake bias to the front axle to try to deal with that rear lockup.
Look at Rinus VeeKay up into second place with 2 minutes remaining. Lundgaard asking time for one more. Yes, there is. Go for it. Go get it. Scott Dixon is on the cut line at the moment.
It's not just time, though. It's fuel. They did go out earlier, and so they're only fueled for one more. They got time for 2, but Scott Dixon now up to P2 from P6. Lundgaard is going to start that final lap that he has fuel for. Scott McLaughlin right now sitting just outside as he starts another lap here on the alternates. Whoa.
This track is a tough challenge and a tough ask for the drivers, whether you're in traffic or alone. Challenges everywhere. The Gallagher Chevy running well at the moment. Lost a little bit of time, though, there, Scott McLaughlin.
A little bit, but did a beautiful job balancing the car right on the slip limit of the rear axle. You could hear it in the engine noise, just avoiding lockup, driving it like a go-kart, and backing it into turn 1. Nice stuff.
Pato Award jumps up to P2. Newgarden here coming to the line. He's in 12th of the minute. He should jump up nicely into the top 6. There he is in 5th.
Indy 500 winner in the top 5 at the moment. Less than a minute to go. Here's his teammate. That section there is... that is unrelenting as Scott McLaughlin jumps his way to 4th with 40 seconds left.
Ericsson quick. Eilot, really good lap.
Lundgaard's done.
Eilot was strong in practice. Oh, Lundgaard is very done.
Comes to the left-hand side of the split pit lane to the Rahal Letterman Lanigan box, and it's over, unfortunately.
That is not the first contact that Lundgaard's had. Practice 1, this morning. Practice 2, Lundgaard left front, cut tire. That looks like cut tire plus some suspension wheel damage.
Newgarden trying to leap his way back in, and it would be at the expense of his Team Penske teammate. Callum Eilot goes to P5. Ericsson's in 6th. So McLaughlin and Newgarden are on the outside, but Newgarden goes to 4th, right at the line.
Both Ericsson and McLaughlin on laps. Good enough to transfer, though, only just. Scott Dixon clocks his last lap.
This is a great lap from McLaughlin. Look at that, up half a second to Callum Eilot.
That'll do. That'll do nicely. And here's Ericsson. So Newgarden may survive here, depending on what Ericsson does.
Oh, look how close it is for Ericsson to bump his way in. He just goes green with 2 corners to go.
Hang on to it in the Husky Honda. Does Ericsson get there? Checkered flag is out. End of Q1. Marcus Ericsson jumps his way in.
Nice job, Fox.
Just pushing out Rinus VeeKay. Great final lap from Marcus Ericsson.
Look at the fist pump, too. He knew that he executed right when he had to. Nice work.
Watch Canapino here. He's currently in 11th, just bumps Ferrucci. Canapino to 10th. Nice job from the rookie driver getting it done on the final lap as well.
Rinus VeeKay so close to transferring. Right to the very end there, just getting bounced by Marcus Ericsson. This is what happened to Christian Lundgaard, by the way. Watch the front left.
This is not the same corner as this morning. It is. Exact same situation. Just a harder hit.
Brave to keep his foot on the throttle, just trying to get to that alternate start-finish line.
Hey, I just thought about it. We're going to hear from Lundgaard in a moment. I just thought about it. We didn't get to the bottom of the mystery missing parts.
Yeah.
Scott Harner. Hey, as the crow flies, it's only about 2 miles away. By road, just over 3 miles. There is Belle Isle. Yeah, first raced IndyCar there in 1992, all the way up to last year. It kind of looks odd seeing it with no race set up, but what a beautiful spot. There it is, just down a little ways down the Detroit River. And from there, from decades of history there, if you look to your left and you see the Rencent, that's where we are now. So let's take a closer look at exactly where we are now, fellas. And a more deep
middle section's quite technical, and the drivers, you know, it's bumpy, but they said, hey, look, it's actually got a pretty fun rhythm to it once you get those clean laps, like Colton was saying.
Let's get to it. This is the Fast 12. So we're all funneling down to the Firestone Fast 6, and boy, if you've made that Firestone Fast 6, you are going to be a happy driver. For those on the outside looking in, tomorrow they know it's going to be a hard, long day over the 100 laps around this Detroit street circuit. So let's get to it. Alex Palou is the first out. His teammate Marcus Ericsson not that far behind. Scott Dixon was quick out as well, courtesy of their prominent qualifying spots at the road course race at the Indianapolis road course. Here is the a little bit of extra white, a little bit of a different design on the PNC Bank Honda and their Women in Motorsport initiative.
You notice what they have on the race car right now is the alternate tire.
Him and his teammate Alex Palou both went out on what will be a used set of alternates from Q1. It's a good strategy, Townsend. Just try to get that quick banker lap in. It's almost a second delta between the primaries and the alternates this weekend. For some drivers, maybe even more. See the primary compound, a little harder, more durable, slower over a lap. Alternate, softer, quicker, but wears faster. So in case we do get a lot of yellows or reds, these Ganassi cars deciding to roll the dice, start on the alternates.
Maybe the balance shift is that much greater between the blacks and the alternates as well, James, that they decided, you know what, we don't want to throw ourselves off the scent. Let's just stick with the consistent tire.
First of 3 laps.
And try to do the final tuning on used alternates, and then you put new alternates on, and hopefully the magic happens. Another thing to consider, I think it's an outside chance, but if this ends up being a green race, meaning green is the preferred tire, and you're going to want 1 set of new blacks and 2 sets of greens, then you potentially are using your greens more, right? You're going to have a more used set to run in the race, but I think the teams are probably feeling pretty confident that black is going to be the preferred tire.
Yeah, because the drivers are saying that the greens aren't lasting as long as they would hope.
You remember the last time they were convinced that it was...
It went the other way.
I was just going to say, we've heard this story before.
Well, look, his young teammate, Scott Dixon's young teammate, Marcus Armstrong, just told Hinch and myself, this guy has been pushing it this weekend. He has been on the limit all weekend long. He is in full attack mode. He knows where he sits in the championship, top 5. He wants that 7th NTT IndyCar Series title, and he's going to take it into his own hands after that unfortunate vibration issue last weekend at the Indianapolis 500. He staged a tremendous comeback at the Indy 500. Scott Dixon in attack mode. He wants to get through to the Firestone Fast 6 and have a great Detroit Grand Prix. He's one of the best road course racers in the history of this sport. So here you are, seeing him in full attack mode on those softer compound Waiuli tires.
One more lap.
Up to the top for Scott Dixon, a 103.8 to Alex Palou's 104.1. Both on those alternates, now on board with Pato O'Ward sitting 4th at the moment as Palou responds and goes to the top. What does Pato have here? Moves up to 3rd at a 103.9. Obviously, he on the primaries, like Joseph Newgarden here. So a big gap between 1st and the rest of the field. Great lap from Power on the primaries when you consider Dixon's lap on the alternates. Maybe he hit a bit of traffic. He's going to be on the last lap of this first run as Scott Dixon.
McLaughlin to P2. That's nice. 7 minutes to go. Palou, McLaughlin, Power. Grosjean jumps his way into 4th. Dixon and O'Ward.
Just watching Dixon's time, and it looks like he's pushing, but on the tracker, it's slow. So I think we're getting a pretty good early indication here that used alternate tires really aren't good for much. See what Dixon does across the line. That was a clean lap without any traffic. And nowhere quick enough at all to even push forward. So 103.8. Think about that.
Oh, big sideways moment there from PALOU Award in turn 7. Huge bump there right in the middle at the apex. That's upsetting the cars as they sort of crest down that hill.
Award went to third. Below McLaughlin, Award, Power, Grosjean, Dixon, it changes. Ericsson goes into P3. Power goes P2 in the Verizon Chevy.
So now here's the game, Hinch. I think the gamble, if you want to get on pole, the deal is you put the greens on here at the last possible second, and if you get one good lap, you pit so you can save them for the fast 6. So that you, because Scott Dixon just proved to me that these greens do not last at all.
And McLaughlin just backed that up by going faster than Alex Palou on the primaries, where Palou was on the used.
Oh, look at Kyle Kirkwood. Out of the car, his qualifying over. So the Long Beach pole winner and race winner isn't going any further.
What was their damage there?
Something going on.
Looking at the left front, they had the fan in. They were looking at the brake duct. Let's see if we can get a glimpse here of what happened.
It's going to be a loon guard. This is loon guard.
Oh yeah. That's
quite a bit of damage.
Might be a bit of damage.
I took the left front off.
I ripped the left front off. So that's Christian Lundgaard and then some. Lundgaard was tire and maybe a little bit of wheel damage. That's suspension and everything. So it's over for Kyle Kirkwood. Pagenaud is in provisionally in the fast 6 at the moment. 5 to go. Newgarden's just gone to 5th. What about Grosjean? He's comfortably in the top 3.
I think he was cruising around to the pits.
He's coming to get the Waiulis on.
A lot of lucky breaks here. I mean, that's 2 pretty hefty contact moments we've had that didn't result in yellows. Could have very easily resulted in yellows or reds.
Here is Kyle Kirkwood with Kevin Lee. Kevo?
Well, we just saw it. There's no margin for error. Talk me through what happened and what you were seeing.
Well, I'm disappointed for the crew because that was a pole winning car, no doubt. AutoNation Honda's been on rails all weekend. Man, I barely touched the wall, like barely touched it. I touched it way harder in all the practices, and it's just like the angle of which the wall was right there. It's like I caught the point, and it just ripped the front off the car. If the wall was rounded, that wouldn't have happened. That's just so unfortunate. Unfortunate for the guys mostly. It's my mistake.
We're wondering what racing is going to be like, but the challenge just to complete a lap, how hard is it here with no margin for error?
It's super hard, you know. It's hard enough just to get around this place, let alone race around it. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, thanks, Kyle. Hey, one thing for us tomorrow, this is a fast car that is going to be coming mid-pack.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking that was a great question, Kevin, because if that happens tomorrow, it's a race ender.
You know, he mentioned if the wall was round, they build the corners out of straight sections, right? So it's like an octagon. You're going to you're nicking basically a sharp corner.
Yep.
Well, there are some curved pieces like this one here.
I take that back.
I don't think it is that way in turn 7, but there's a different select collection, I should say.
I'm surprised to see that. Yeah, have you seen a round section like that anywhere else?
Yeah, Nashville. This is that new technology in barriers that we saw kind of debut, at least for the IndyCar series in Nashville a few years back. I know that the Grand Prix here has done a deal to buy some of their own, share some with
is that just
another
a mold,
venue.
A rounded mold? Is that the new technology?
Ericsson's on a good one here, guys. Marcus Ericsson to the alternate finish line and goes to the top with 2:44 left to play. He's been struggling this weekend. So this is a nice turnaround for the Husky Honda driver. That's good stuff, but will it stand with 2.5 minutes remaining?
I don't think so. I'm looking at the top 3 times from round 1. It looks like you're going to need about a 1:02.0 to be in the top 6. As you can see the times further down, Dixon on a flyer right now. Those fresh Firestones working really well.
Yeah, because I think that McLaughlin time was still standing from when he set it on primaries. So that's going to be a huge chunk of time found by Scott McLaughlin. And this man right here was on the used alternates to start. Here he comes around 7/10 up.
This looks like a 1:02.0 for Palou. It should put him right to the top.
Dixon goes to P3. PALOU
Wow.
goes to the top with 2 to go. Check this out. Here's Rosenquist, and Marcus Armstrong is on a fast one as well. So too is Pato Award and Simon Pagenaud. There's lots of green on the screen. Newgarden.
Armstrong up to P3. Joseph Newgarden now out with that run. Let's see. Here he is on a good lap. Down in 8th at the moment.
We'll P5.
Power to P3. Newgarden to 7th. That's not enough. Here is Pato Award running to the line. And Award is 4th. 1:10 left on the clock.
It's going to need more than that, I think, because Newgarden, Pagenaud, and Rosenquist all look quick enough to bump their way in. Pagenaud to P4.
Armstrong on a pretty strong lap as well at the moment. Here's Scott Dixon across the line, sitting in 8th at the moment.
I don't think that's going to be good enough for Dixon. He'll get one more shot.
Almost just setting it up. He's got his teammate PALOU coming into the pits behind him. Pretty safe there, I would say, for Alex PALOU, your championship leader. And big save from Marcus Armstrong. Absolutely on the ragged edge.
That was huge. If this young man doesn't advance, that would be a surprise. He's been strong all weekend. He's 6th at the moment, but there's others in the green like Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah, that will cost him an awful lot of time, so he knows there's a little bit more pace in that number 11. Joseph Newgarden trying to get himself in. Can he do it? Yes.
So that bounces Armstrong out. Clock is almost up. 15 seconds left. Award just went from green to red. Here's McLaughlin.
Boom.
Should be in, is in. Pit. Grosjean goes to P2. Changing by the second. That pushes Simon Pagenaud out.
Dixon with a shot here, with a really good chance to make it happen at the end of time.
2 Ganassi cars in the green. Dixon's there. It might be his young rookie teammate Marcus Armstrong who pushes him out. If the young Kiwi can stay on it.
Half a 10th. It's all here. This is where he lost all that time. A 10th down now.
To the line for Marcus Armstrong. In or out of the Firestone Fast 6? Out is the answer. Scott Dixon makes it in. The final driver to make it in. And Will Power just got pushed out.
I was just coasting. No idea. I thought you said pit.
Let's have a look at this wild ride for Marcus Armstrong. One way, the other. Whoa, that was rally.
Scandi flick at about 80 miles an hour in the concrete jungle. That was a handy piece of driving. Armstrong should be proud, though. Top rookie, did a great job settling in on this new circuit.
He's still going to be upset with it. He's had great pace.
I'm happy not being all the way back there, so I think P9 is not too bad, and anything can happen strategy-wise, so we're good.
Jeff, you can hear the Fast 6 going green right now, but all the drivers talking about just how difficult it is to put together the perfect laps here on the streets of Detroit.
Such a challenge. All right, here we go. Firestone Fast 6. Let's run through the 6 contestants for you. We're on board the AutoNation machine, the DHL Honda of Romain Grosjean. His last pole position, well, he's the only multi-time pole winner this year. That came at Barber Motorsports Park. How about just 2 weekends ago, winning the pole position for the Indianapolis 500? That's Alex PALOU. He is in here. The last time Scott Dixon was on a pole, last year's Indianapolis 500. What about Scott McLaughlin? It was Portland at the end of last season. For Joseph Newgarden, it was a year ago here in Detroit. And for Marcus Ericsson, fellas, he's never had a pole position. This could be the magic day for the speedy Swede. Let's see what Alex PALOU does this time. T-Bell, you liked his strategy in the last session. Let's see if he employs it again.
The question is, does he make 2 runs? I think you have to. You got to try. Presumably this is his older of the 2 sets. I think he's got the freshest set in the field by virtue of what he did in round 2. 1 hot, good lap, pitted. It was fast enough to be P1 in that session. So this is the banker lap on, again, what I'm guessing is the more used set of the 2 greens he's run today.
Which will have 2 full runs on it because of the Q1 run and then that opening run in Q2. So as far as alternates go, this is as worn as you can get right now.
Yeah.
By the way, before we really get our teeth into this session, I want to say well done to Simon Pagenaud. That was season's best start. Really good. Let's hope that's a turning point for the Frenchman. What has happened here? This is Marcus Ericsson running long. That's not going to help. And then Grosjean's there as well.
Does this create a local yellow for anybody trailing?
Well, the only guy trailing went off as well, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure you'll get a penalty.
Yeah,
for
but
it.
what's behind these two?
They both hadn't completed a lap, so they're going to get drive-through penalties, which they're taking right now. 4.5 minutes left.
So that's good news that they hadn't done a lap.
It is, but from a timing standpoint, it's not great. You know, that eliminates the time of
I think
a full lap.
Yeah, I think what you have to do is go back out, pit right away. So just try to get a balance read, which is really all you're doing on the banker lap. It'd be nice to clock a time. What can Alex Palou do on used alternates here? 103.7 last lap.
What a comeback drive he had last weekend at the Indy 500. Starting on pole, led a bunch of laps in the opening stanza, only to be collected on pit lane by Rinus VeeKay. Both of them led a heap of laps. He dives for the pit, so he's going to re-rack and go again.
So that's not super encouraging for the rest of the field. Palou couldn't go quicker on his second lap, meaning he had old tires, but my point is Palou's got the advantage, I think, on his next set of greens. Is there a chance you can transfer on blacks?
Well, it's
not transfer, position yourself.
I was going to say, you put sticker blacks on and just go for it.
That might be the read.
That's what Scott Dixon's doing, and he's yet to post a lap, so this is it for the PNC Bank Honda.
We'll try to track down if this was a sticker set or if these are just banker laps for Dixon before coming back in and throwing on the alternates, but it could be an interesting move to try that.
It's going to stay out.
Yep, and there's only 3 minutes left.
And it's a good start to the lap, apparently.
You hear the tires protesting there, squealing, screeching. Joseph Newgarden's on a flyer, so too is Scott Dixon.
We are hearing it was a sticker set, so they're going for it, guys. They're trying to see if the new primaries are going to beat out used alternates, but based on what you're seeing right now out of Scott McLaughlin, that does not seem to be the case.
That is a big effort from the Gallagher Chevy driver. Looking good so far for the New Zealander. He's half a second up, drops a little bit of time there. Here we go for the big rip down the back straight, 7/10 of a mile.
I think there's a little bit of wonky timing happening at the start of the lap for some reason, but now it seems to be sorting itself out. Scott Dixon about to cross the line here, up to third. Newgarden right behind him.
Less than 2 minutes to play.
And there it is.
Joseph Newgarden to the top. Can the Indy 500 winner just continue this magical week? He's been the busiest guy in IndyCar with his trip to New York City, doing all of the post-Indy 500 media requirements. Here's Scott McLaughlin to the line, his teammate.
Incredible pace from McLaughlin, goes 102.4. I don't think I've seen anybody hustle the car like Scott McLaughlin has here today in Detroit. He looks aggressive, he looks confident in how the car is going to land off every bump.
Palou through the switchback section there where Marcus Armstrong got fully sideways both directions. Alex Palou to the top, 101.8.
About to see what those fresher greens can do for Palou. Meanwhile, Dixon trying to make these harder black tires work. If you believe the tracker, I don't think it's going to be a successful plan, but let's see. It takes a while to get new blacks up to temperature, up to grip.
Boy, Newgarden was hustling there, Hinch.
It sure was, guys. This is going to be the last lap for these drivers. Newgarden just deposes Dixon there in P3, and he pulls into the pits. That is it for the number 2.
That's all I got, he says, for Joseph Newgarden. Ericsson's able to leapfrog Grosjean. Palou is sitting pretty at the top. Now Grosjean goes to P2. Good lap. 30 seconds left on the clock.
McLaughlin up to P2, but still a big gap
to the timeline.
to Alex Palou at that 101.8. Only 0.2 off of what he did on sticker alternates in round 2.
Doesn't look like it'll work for Dixon, but McLaughlin maybe with a shot here.
Dixon through that switchback section, currently sitting P5. You see that he is behind, he's in the red. It's good enough to leapfrog Joseph Newgarden and put himself on the provisional second row, but what about Scotty Mack?
He's got to find a 10 through the canyons here. Make something happen. He's pushing super hard on the limiter. Gonna dance it through this right-left. This is where it gets super gnarly, but you can pay off if you nail it.
Has McLaughlin got enough to dislodge Alex Palou to the line? The time is up. McLaughlin, has he done it? He has not.
Nice try there, nice try. Almost. P2. P2, we're on the front row.
McLaughlin saying, so close. And the man who won the pole position for the Indianapolis 500 is on pole here in Detroit. The Ridgeline Lubricants Honda of Alex Palou. The Chip Ganassi squad celebrate. That is a fine effort. Now, Romain Grosjean had some problems in his DHL Honda. What happened?
Poof. Very similar to what we saw out of Alexander Rossi in Q1, just getting a bit wide there, drifting out of turn 2.
Yeah, up on that light gray, but he did a good job squaring up his hands. Watch on board here from Grosjean. He was able to square it up and make a glancing blow.
He was so out of the throttle.
Not ideal, but if you're going to pick an angle to hit, that's the best one, as he congratulates Olivier Boisson and Michael Andretti, the team owner, his race engineer, Olivier.
It just feels good. Feels good to be back in the Firestone Fast 6. Pato Award, we heard from him earlier. Just couldn't find the magic to make that cut and make the transfer, but this man certainly did. Follows on from his Indy 500 pole to grab it here on this new Detroit street circuit. Alex Palou, he had to fight hard last weekend to claw his way back through the field for a brilliant top 5 finish. And here is the Ridgeline Lubricants crew from Chip Ganassi Racing celebrating Alex on his 3rd career pole. The NTT P1 award goes to Palou and the bonus championship point, Marty.
How about the roll, Diff, that he has been on? Not only the pole, obviously, for the Indy 500, finishing 4th in that race, won the GP the week before that, and now first ever pole for the revised street course, giving Ricky Davis, his chief mechanic here, a big hug. Alex, how about that? I know on the out lap, you asked Barry Wandry, you said, we have 2 time laps here, right? Did you know you had a very slight tire advantage over the other cars?
Yeah, I mean, we used, we started on used greens that we used on Fast 12. Didn't feel really good, so I was, I was concerned about if we were going to be able to make 2 laps or not. But yeah, super happy. My first pole on the street course. It's great to be back here on pole. Amazing effort by the CGR team. And yeah, it's going to be a tough day tomorrow for sure.
A lot of firsts for you lately. The first oval pole, the first street course pole. I mean, this pole thing's kind of becoming a regular thing for you all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's it feels good. It feels good. Honestly, we had a great car since the beginning.
Marcus Ericsson in?
We had the great car since the beginning, and it was just about maximizing. I think they did a great strategy on tires and everything. So yeah, it's going to be, we need to finish it tomorrow.
Yeah, the pole is one thing. How is this race going to be? I mean, I think it's, what, 4 or 5 offs for you, the guy sitting on the pole. This place has been a challenge, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I got off a lot in practice. We were wanting to see where the limit was. We found it, but man, it's a crazy track. I think it's too tight for Indy cars and too short as well, but it's going to be tough, but yeah, we'll make it happen.
Alex Palou gets the NTT P1 award. He's on the pole once again. Dave?
So
circuit. Flavor Flav on the TOP, as he said to our Kevin Lee. He's loving life here in the Motor City. It's a challenge, plain and simple. Look at the cars dancing around these city streets, and they're going to be at it hard tomorrow. That does it for us on the IndyCar front, but coming up next, not too far away, here live on Peacock, Michelin Pilot Challenge. We'll see you then, and if not, we'll see you tomorrow for race day.